All right, let's talk about shrooms, magic mushrooms, psilocybin. Uh, yeah, so in my life, I've taken shrooms twice, 2 doses, and 2 different times. Kind of lost my train of thought because I was recording this earlier and I ran out of storage on my phone. So now I'm starting back square one, but let's do it. I'm gonna change that just a touch. Okay. So my first experience with mushrooms was, I want to say, 5 or 6 months ago. Definitely not too long ago. My whole experience with psychedelics in general started pretty recently. Just kind of as I was getting into spirituality as a whole, just happened to stumble upon psychedelics as well. I definitely was smoking a lot of weed at that time. Yeah, definitely a lot of weed, more than enough. Definitely a lot of dabs, shatter, things like that. So I was having quite a few spiritual experiences already just from that. And so I kind of knew what I was getting into. I did a lot of research, a lot of YouTube videos, a lot of Googling. And then I realized and decided that I was ready for it. So hit up my plug. Cool guy. Doesn't really strike me as a person who partakes in psychedelics or really anything of that nature, but he happened to have them, so I hit him up. I got first dose was an eighth, 3.5 or 6 grams. He blessed it, which means he just gave me a little bit more because we're tight, cool like that. So a little bit more than an eighth. For those of you that are unfamiliar with how dosage goes for shrooms, a lot of times it's 1 to 2 grams is a good place to start, depending on what kind of experience you want to have. Anywhere between 2 and 3 is where you start to get some heavy visuals, and then definitely a complete loss of track of time and things of that nature. This is a abandoned house right here. It's pretty cool. I might go explore that on the way back, but to continue, anywhere from 3 grams and above is considered a heroic dose, which just means pretty much a total breakthrough, change in your perception, period. It's really interesting. You can definitely look into that more as far as why that is, why certain dosages, whatever, affect you in the way that they do. But so I started off pretty high as my first. I don't believe I took, right, okay, so I count these 2 days in a row as one experience because really it was. So for starters, like I said, I took the eighth. I bought the eighth, and then I kind of pussied out and decided to only have 2. You're not a pussy if you try this. I'm not saying that, but I only took 2 grams to start off with. So I was kind of iffy about how it would react. A lot of my family have had issues with psychedelics and mental issues in the past anyway, so I was just weighing on the careful side. And so I took 2, and I had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich with it. I had a lot of food beforehand as well, so the time that it took for the mushrooms to kick in was a little bit longer than I expected. It said somewhere around I want to say 35 to 45 minutes for the effects to start kicking in, and it took just a little bit longer than that, maybe an hour 15 for really the visuals to kick in. But really, definitely a fun experience overall. So took them, went in my room. I read a whole lot of things. Set and setting is very important. Your mindset going into it, how you're feeling that day, all those things come into play. All those things are very important. So made sure my set and setting was good. Made sure I told my grandma I'm going to bed early, or if you need something, knock on my door or whatever, just text me. Because I didn't want any disturbances. I didn't want her coming and seeing me tripping balls. So I sat in my room, put my color changing LED lights on like a douchebag. And, I started playing some music or whatever and just kind of sat back, started watching some YouTube. I'm pretty sure I was watching a bunch of videos of other people tripping on shrooms, which was a very interesting idea. But, that's what I decided to do. And so I sat back. After about 20 to 25 minutes, I was like, all right, I might start meditating. So, sitting on my bed, doing what I was doing, started meditating, doing some breath work, things like that, because I heard doing breath work can speed up the process of the visuals and the feeling of it overall, speed up the process of that kicking in. It didn't, but that's just personal. I think it varies for everybody, but I tried that, and then I want to say put on some more music, started listening to some Mac Miller, got my feelings a little bit, perfectly fine, and then about an hour in, definitely started feeling like things were a little off. Everything was just a little bit fuzzy and not as clear and sharp as I felt like they normally were. Here's a really nice stream right there. That's beautiful. But yeah, so things started to get kind of fuzzy and things just didn't really look the way that I was used to seeing them. I mean, it was my room, so I know exactly what my room looks like. Things just didn't look right. So I was like, oh, okay, things are starting to happen here. So after that, it took about another 20 minutes for things to really start kicking up, the visuals and everything. And then once I did start seeing the visuals, it really wasn't anything crazy. Like I said, I only took like 2 grams, so it wasn't anything spectacular. But I heard one time that somebody said don't look into a mirror when you're tripping, or I think it might have been on acid, so I wasn't 100% sure, but I didn't care. I was gonna do it anyway. So I ended up looking out of my bedroom window, and the craziest thing was I saw my reflection, but I didn't recognize it. I saw a person looking back at me that didn't look like me. And the more that I focused, the more that I looked at my reflection, and my face started to change like super fast. Like within a 30-second period, I saw like 30 faces just over and over flashing, and they weren't flashing, but they were definitely shifting. My ears were like super pointy. I mean, they already are, and like not really that pointy, but they were like super pointy like this. And I kept seeing like these faces that I did not recognize. But then this really calming sort of feminine voice came over me and really just helped me, guided me through the rest of my experience, which was really cool and really nice. Not really sure who or what that was, to be honest, but I'm really glad that happened, because I was starting to get a little bit worried about like the faces and everything that I was seeing, only because I was like, well, what the fuck is this? Like, didn't recognize what I was looking at. But I continued on, and the voice was telling me that everything was okay, that this is just part of the experience. And it felt really calming, really nurturing. So I was like, okay. And then I started to relax. I started to enjoy the experience. The feelings of the warmth and waves crashing over me felt really nice. And I was listening to music. I felt like the music was playing through me, and it wasn't just playing around me, which was really a nice feeling. And I felt so connected with the earth, and my heart opened up. I felt like this overwhelming clarity and like love for everything, and it was so beautiful. I've never had an experience like that. And so the second time that I had taken shrooms, but I'll talk about that a little bit later. So I'm sitting in my room tripping balls. I say tripping balls, but it was really like just having a pleasant experience under the influence of this plant medicine. Because really, I think Psilocybin and most mushrooms, if not all of them, are just plant medicine. Really good for you overall. The health benefits outweigh any of the negatives. Here's another really beautiful stream. Show you that. But yeah, that's really nice. Okay, so I think, it definitely, the positives outweigh the negatives in that aspect. But man, it was a wild time. And then I had this urge. It's all like flooding back to me now. I had this sudden urge to do kip ups. So like if you're laying on your back and you roll back onto your hands and then kick forward so that both your feet land and you land like that. I was doing a bunch of those and I was so scared to for some reason, but I just started like doing them and I was actually able to like do them. I think now as much as I've been exercising and working out, I still don't think that I'm able to do kip ups out of nowhere without like stretching or anything, but I just doing kip ups for some reason. And then I started banging out push-ups and I think jumping jacks and like shadow boxing, and it felt really good. Like I felt really in tune with my body, and I think that's why I was able to do the kip ups. It's really random, but yeah, I was able to do those. And then I went into the mirror, and I've always kind of had, I was really overweight as a kid growing up. I've had my fair share of experiences with bullying and things like that, elementary things, but I'd always had issues with my body image up until recently. And I think because of that experience, I was able to look at myself in the mirror and look at myself objectively instead of subjectively. And I didn't cast any judgment on myself in the way I looked. And for the first time, I felt so in love with my body and who I was in that moment. And it felt really nice because, if you exercise a lot and you work out and you're always chasing what your body is going to look like, what your body can look like, the potential gains or the goals that you have, a lot of times it's intoxicating almost to continuously project what you're going to look like instead of appreciating what you look like right now. And I was able to overcome that, at least for that time being, and really just appreciate what I looked like in that moment and how I felt. So that was really nice. And I was able to see, I had six-pack abs, my chest looked great. I was really pumped from just random exercise that I decided to burst into, impromptu workout during my trip. But yeah, aside from that, I feel as though I gained a lot of intuition. But the thing with shrooms that I learned from my first and second time, you gotta write down what you hear and what you see and what you feel, because after the trip is over, you forget. Reality comes crawling back, and then you can kind of lose it. As unfortunate as that is, that's kind of just the fact of, life for right now. So I would say, as a word of advice, if you are taking shrooms, not for just a party aspect, but if you're really trying to grow, I would bring a notebook. Set your intention first. And definitely my intentions were to grow as a person and learn to love myself through that experience. And that is exactly what happened. So I actually didn't get into that. I'll cycle back for a second. Before I actually even had this experience, I went really far out. I believe it was Cheesecake Park in New Jersey, down by the beach. And I hiked for quite a long time, and I found this log. I sat on this log. I wrote down my intentions for the trip that I was going to have. I think this was after just the day of my trip. I wrote my intentions down in my spiritual notebook, my notebook of power. And fortunately, and through the power of the shrooms, all of those things came true. And they still hold strong to this day. Everything, all of my intentions that I had for that night kind of carried on until even right now. So that was really great. All right, then continuing to my second. I say that there was 2 in 1 because I did only take 2 grams that day, that night. So I woke up the next day, took the other 1.5. It might have been 1, might have been 2.5 the one day and 1 the second. Not really sure exactly on the measurements, not that big a deal. So I took it the next day. Didn't really feel a whole lot just because I had just taken more than 2 times what I took the second day on the first day. So nothing really to be said about that. So I consider it one experience, not necessarily, 2 separate days, more like 1.5, but definitely really nice. And the second experience that I had was more recently. I want to say it was a month or 2 ago. And this was with a friend of mine, 2 friends of mine actually, at his house. And we decided to get an ounce and then split it between the 3 of us. So we all had roughly, I had myself an eighth, and then my 2 other friends each had eighths for themselves. Not really sure how the math added up, but I'm pretty sure we bought an ounce. That time was a lot different. We watched a movie called Enter the 37th Chamber, which is a really old, really awesome kung fu movie where this guy is an actor and he pretends to be this thing, and eventually I'm not going to get too far into the story. If you want to watch Enter the 37th Chamber, it's a really, really good movie. But I felt as we took the shrooms just as the movie was starting. I felt like as the movie went on, I just got this deep understanding of everything that was going on in the movie. And because it was old, you could tell the makeup was kind of shitty. The characters and acting weren't the greatest, but I felt like I had such a deep understanding and I resonated so much with the movie, which was really nice. It was a great feeling. And as it went on, I felt more and more comfortable in my skin as I was watching it, because I felt like I was learning from the movie, which felt really very interesting. Can't really explain it very well, but definitely felt like there were some things that my guides had put in front of me. Like, I watched that movie for a reason. That movie was shown to me because I had not even heard of it beforehand, so it was really interesting. And as the movie went on, he learned kung fu through different means than everyone else did. The main character took like a different route, and I resonated with that because I feel like at this point in my life I'm taking a very different route than a lot of other people my age, doing things outside the box, very, very far outside the box, and I'm successful with it. So it's very interesting how I resonated with it, but it was really cool. Then continuing on, I'm gonna set my phone down right here actually. Then continuing on, I mean, the rest of the trip, from feeling really comfortable with my body and then taking deep conscious breaths, I got very in tune with the moment, and I was very aware of everything that seemed to be going on. My friend was like getting anxious, and I was able to be that calming voice of reason for him, bring him back down to earth in a sense, and that felt good. And then for whatever reason, I decided to go out into the backyard. I opened the sliding doors and I'm standing in his backyard, and he has an RV over to the left and then some trees and then a pool. So I'm standing in this back porch, and I have this blanket over me. I'm wearing all red. I had like a red flannel, and it was a red blanket, some red J's on, some red Jordan, I think they're Bulls on Broadway. They're really nice, 11s I think. Anyway, that's besides the point. I just really like my outfit, so but I was standing there, and I felt this overwhelming sense of confidence as I had this blanket over my shoulders. I'll kind of show you the way that I was standing when I was outside. Kind of get like an idea. So I had this robe thing, this blanket, and I was standing. And what's really cool is in this porch, there's like the second level porch and then the downstairs porch. We were downstairs, so the sliding door was connected. You can go out into the backyard through there. And he has these lights that go around. They're like little fairy lights that go all around this bottom porch. So the lighting was beautiful. It was awesome. It's always so nice. And I turned to myself and look at myself in the sliding door reflection, and I have this profound sense, this feeling that I'm connected with my higher self. And I look at him and he's looking back at me, and I'm not making any faces, but he's smiling. And let me tell you, I know that I'm handsome. I feel good in my body and I feel great, but he was so much more attractive than I was. And it felt so strange to look at myself, because I was like, man, that is exactly who I'm going to be. And I saw what I was going to look like. And that was a great feeling, because I saw my best self right in that moment. And that was incredible to me. And from then on, I had this deep breath, and I felt like I became one with my higher self in that very moment. And the trees around me started blowing, and I felt this celebration. I felt like a round of applause was happening all around me from the trees. I was just taking it all in. And I had just like this unbelievable confidence for really no reason. Like nothing was happening that I needed to be confident about, but it was just a sense of like oneness and presence that was so beautiful. And I came back inside and sat down on the couch, and I was going to fall asleep. And I came up with the name, the Dragon King. And I'm not really sure where that came from, not really sure why, but it had a nice ring to it. I really liked it. So from that night, I became the Dragon King, Jay the Dragon King. So that was pretty cool. That's really, then, you know, we had a few talks in the morning about, you know, how we both had the experience, and it was crazy, but I mean, it was just so profound in ways that I feel like when it comes to shrooms, it's very difficult to kind of explain feelings and sensations when it's after the fact. If I were to record the video, if I were to record a video the time right after I take shrooms, like the day after or even the day of, I'm considering that as well. Let me know if you guys want to see that. You know, just, you know, make a live video of me taking shrooms, talk you guys through the experience, maybe make some music while I'm doing it. I think that would be very interesting, but you know, it kind of goes away, like I said, so writing it down is really important. Unfortunately, I didn't write it down for either one, so I'm just kind of pulling from memory. But if you guys would be interested in seeing that, let me know down in the comments. I'd be more than happy to make that video. But yeah, so those two experiences were really nice for me. I've heard some good and some bad things as far as people's personal experiences with psilocybin. So, you know, if you guys just put your experiences with it, if you've had any, in the comments, I'd really like to hear what you guys think and what you guys have felt and seen. But yeah, as far as that goes, I'm trying to think if there's any more, you know, profound things that I can remember, but none are really coming to me. So I think I'm going to sign off here. But thank you guys again so much for watching. Leave any video ideas that you'd like to see from me in the future down in the comments. Have a great rest of your day. I love you so much. All right, that's it. Peace.